focused. Give it everything. It's going to be so close.
This is very tight. I'm going wheel to wheel.
I'm going for it.
Through goes Hamilton.
It's not over yet.
Max Verstappen, champion of the world.
Hello everybody, good evening if you're watching this, and welcome to the Sprint Race Notebook from the 2023 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We've got a quite nice evening going on here in Baku at the race. Any spectators who've got their kids have brought them to the little area around here. They've picked up an ice cream over there. There were some other kids picking the daisies and doing the thing that you do when you blow the daisies and into the flowers and all of that. And we've got a lot of fans waiting outside the media centre, which is sort of converted from the Hilton Hotel. So that's the media centre, because that's where Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez are while they do their little media briefing in there. And that was all right, wasn't it? I thought, just sort of keen to garner people's opinions on what they thought the whole weekend has been right, the views on the format. So we had sprint qualifying earlier today, and we had the sprint qualifying one, or SQ1, SQ2, and SQ3 as they're called. And I don't know, for a plain geek like me, SQ1, SQ2, and SQ3 sound like 3 Singapore Airlines flights. In fact, I was sad enough to look it up, and apparently the SQ1 is from Singapore to Hong Kong, and the SQ2 is also Singapore to Hong Kong, and the SQ3 is Hong Kong to Singapore. Yeah, I told you I was an interesting person. But there you go. That's it. It's sprint qualifying 1, sprint qualifying 2, and sprint qualifying 3. Charles Leclerc showing, if any doubt were needed, that if you do pretty much the same thing again, you'll get the same result by being on pole for the these things, daisies. These daisy things. JD, what are they called? Daisy blazer. When you go, you make a wish. Make a wish. Oh, there we go. Want to know what I wished? You don't know. Oh no, how am I going to get out of here? I wish I can get up onto this ledge without losing any dignity. Thank you for covering that, JD. Right, so yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty, it was good. It was good, wasn't it? It was certainly made for a busy day, and there's been meaningful action on the Friday, there's been meaningful action on the Saturday, but it felt like we needed a race, finally. We'd had 2 qualifying sessions, and it was about time we had a race, which we did, and it was quite a good one, entertaining. And B, that final SQ3, sprint qualifying 3 session, felt like it maybe needed shortening. Now, I know it sounds weird, and I spoke to Stefano Domenicali about this, and he kind of acknowledged that as a viewpoint, in that if the drivers are only going to do 1 lap on the soft tyre, then what's the point in making it 8 minutes, and meaning that they're going to do their first lap, first of all, when the tyre is still young and has good juice in it, and then they're not going to be able to do another one because the tyre's lost the best of its life, even though they might have the fuel and be able to do a second run. So what's the point in making it 8 minutes if they've already done their run, and you're going to get an anticlimax towards the end of sprint qualifying 3? You still following me? So Domenicali, when I spoke to him, said, look, that I know what you mean. Did we get that? What does it look like? What does the picture look like? Come and have a look, JD. Oh, that's nice. Oh, it's a movie of us. Yes. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, no, you want a nice artistic picture of JD. Isn't he handsome? Thank you very much. Yes, I'll need it. Yeah, so a shortened maybe, but I think Formula One and the FIA have said that they are open to actually changing the format, potentially making it something that might be tweakable. But in the end, it was certainly a busy day. But now we've had 2 qualifyings. Now we're going to have 2 races, the race today and the race tomorrow. Lots of races coming up, by the way. We're in the middle of a double header, so we're going, the whole Formula One company is decamping on a Qatar Airways charter plane to Miami on Monday. So the whole thing is coming to Miami, and that's the double header. Yes, no, I know, we're not coming through, don't worry. I'm just coming to see if I can see the hole in Max Verstappen's car, which I can't. It's not over there. Sorry? Oh, down there. Okay, right. That's right. No problem. We're not filming in here anyway, and Verstappen's car is down there, because that was quite the hole in the side pod, wasn't it? And it was kind of surprised. Oh, I can see it, but it's not this side. Ah, we're foiled, JD. Foiled. It's the other side, left-hand side. See, so I can't see that. But it was quite the hole in the in the side pod, considering it wasn't the hardest of clunks, but certainly that would have slowed Verstappen down. How much, we don't know. Was it enough that he couldn't take Charles Leclerc? Maybe. But I like the way it's, this is the new Max Verstappen who's defending his championship lead, where in the past when he's been chasing Hamilton and whoever's been challenging for the championship before he got into such a dominant car and started performing the way he does, that, he has to think about the championship. This new mature Max Verstappen, I like it. But so let's do Red Bull first, just because we're about there in the paddock. Oh, here's Steve Nielsen from the FIA. So he'll be just behind you, JD. So he'll be one of the people, together with FOM, who will decide whether we do shorten those SQ3 sessions and whether that happens. That's on the left, Steve Nielsen. So we'll see whether he feels like that's something that will go. It looks like people are all still chilling out to the excellent plumbing DJ using all those plumbing tubes that I'm still slightly obsessed with. Right, so let's see who we got in the pen. Oh, you like them too, I see, do you, JD? Yeah, best use of washing up pans and broken cymbals that I can do. And all those plumbing tubes, you see they've got, on the right-hand side, you see they've got mics on them. So depending on which plumbing tube you hit, which soil pipe you hit, each soil pipe makes a different noise. And that's why each pipe is individually microphoned. And you see there's science behind these plumbing accessory music pieces. Right, so let's do, should we do Red Bull, I guess, seeing as they won the race? Yeah, let's do Red Bull. So Sergio Perez first, Max Verstappen third, and, they got the victory they wanted. Sergio Perez was able quite quickly, so we'll do Max first, Max third, Sergio Perez first. Max was under pressure on lap 1 and was passed by George Russell. He tapped me. Well, he certainly did, and he hold your side pod as well, Max. Got floor damage, and Checo was, here is George Russell just behind you. There you go, it's over there. Does he look guilty? No, I don't suppose he does. Was he apologetic to Max afterwards in Parc Fermé? Yes, he was. Will there be somewhere in his head thinks, listen, that's hard racing, Max, and you're as hard racer as anybody else. Yes, I know you have to defend a championship lead, as we've already said, but I'm out there just to do the best that I can, and if we touch, we touch. I think Verstappen's point, and I see it absolutely, is that, look, if this is allowed, and clearly it is, I haven't seen any details of signs of George causing an incident or under investigation by the stewards, then I've got to know about it, because I can do that too. If that's allowed, and that was Verstappen's point earlier on the season, wasn't it? That look, if this kind of racing is allowed, then I'd like to know, because that's going to affect the way I race, and it can't be fine for some people and not fine for others. Here is Checo coming back to the pen, JD, if you want to come back towards here. But got floor damage, Max Verstappen, and couldn't catch Charles Leclerc, even though he did close on him. Had a bit of a go at George Russell in Parc Fermé, as we've already said, Max Verstappen. But Checo Perez, absolutely brilliant, commanding win, if you can have a commanding win of 17 laps, kept his nose clean, and was in complete control thereafter. And I'm so pleased for all the nice people we met from Mexico yesterday who'd come all the way from Monterrey. And if that lovely lady from Ecuador is in fact a Checo Perez fan rather than just a fan of street races, then I hope she's happy today as well, because they've seen Checo win on a street race. Can he do it tomorrow? Yes, he can. He's starting behind Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc on the grid P3, but there's no reason to suggest that he can't do it tomorrow, I suppose. Right, Ferrari, they should be around the place if you can see them. Charles Leclerc should be on his way back from the press conference, and all they wanted was a podium today, and they got one. When I say they got one, they didn't get one because there wasn't a podium, but they got a non-podium podium. So finally, Ferrari get the non-podium podium they wanted and haven't had all season long. And I still was amazed to look at that little statistic before the race, that their best finishing position up to this point had been fourth for Charles Leclerc, for Carlos Sainz at the season opening Bahrain Grand Prix, and Leclerc had only finished one race. In Saudi, I believe it was. Yeah, he was out in Bahrain, he was out in Australia. So this will be, I just think it's the establishing, comforting, securing result that Ferrari needed. Make no mistake, it's only the sprint race. They need to make that step and finish on the podium tomorrow. Ferrari really need it just for their own equilibrium. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. Their satisfaction, their equilibrium. But otherwise, Charles Leclerc didn't have enough performance. It's the tyre degradation again. Didn't have the tyre degradation defended against Sergio Perez. But if I can't win, he said, I need to score the most points I possibly can, and he did that. Carlos Sainz P5. And strangely not on Charles Leclerc's pace all weekend. Yes, Leclerc is a Baku expert, but what's up with Sainz here this weekend? Just not really able to get the performance out of the car, and that will annoy him, I know. So yeah, we'll see. Fred Vasseur, did I say this yesterday that he was annoyed at AlphaTauri doing the press release and announcing their sporting director Laurent Mekies as their new team principal? Thought it was a little bit before your horse to market to go. Is a bit premature from AlphaTauri, was Fred Vasseur, but they'll enter in some sort of negotiation as to when Fred Vasseur can release Laurent Mekies to AlphaTauri. And Fred Vasseur talking about building a new team of expert engineers, a new team around Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz to make them completely happy in Ferrari. Not that they won't, but they're not. So Ferrari are recruiting, in short. If you're a good sporting director, or want to be, or a good chief engineer, you a good sporting director?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. Well, Ferrari are recruiting. So if you fancy changing shirts, sir, then they're looking for people. So yeah, all applications to Mr. F. Vasseur of Maranello, Italy. Right, Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton is in the pen. JD, I don't know if you can see. Hello! You see him. And yeah, Lewis Hamilton, again, like Carlos Sainz, strangely off the pace today. And here is Alex Albon, who just about missed out on a point. Are you all right, Alex? Bad luck.
Is this notebook?
It is the notebook, yes. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Yeah, not too bad.
You did bravely. He was on fighting form, Alex Albon. He held off Stroll until mid-race and then dropped out down into 9th. Tell me how to go faster and I'll go faster. I'm going flat out, he said on the radio.
In the moment.
I'm not putting shade on you for saying...
It basically, without going into too much detail, I can't give all the secrets, but...
your engineer was like,
let's just say,
can you go faster in Sector 2? It's like, what do you think I'm doing?
No, he asked me to anti in Sector 2, so save the battery. Just to not get overtaken for the big straights. So you want to save the battery in Sector 2, so then you don't have to clip in Sector 1. And you know what I mean?
I've lost you.
I think there'll be people here that are smarter than you who will know.
No doubt. Well done, thank you, Alex. But Alex missed out on a point by 3.3 seconds, but held off Oscar Piastri to finish P9, starting P7. So well done to Alex Albon. That was a game attempt. And Logan Sargent was a did not start. So that's just done out Williams. Logan Sargent, after the accident yesterday, felt that really there was too much damage and they needed some time to fix it. They didn't want to bust everything in the chance of not finishing anywhere, and that's the problem with the sprint race, isn't it? I'm going back to the pen, JD, if you're wondering where I am. That's the problem with it, is that there's a very, very good chance that if you're not going to score points, then it's largely pointless, quite literally, actually going. And so Logan, unfortunately for him, must have really hurt sitting in the garage. Didn't take part in the race today. Right, so that's Williams done. Let's just round out Mercedes and then we'll take a break. Lewis Hamilton P7, as I said, lacking in pace from in the same way Sainz was. But a bad restart from Lewis down to P7. Alonso overtook him and struggled with the tyres after that. But George Russell secured P4, even though he was retaken by Max Verstappen for third place. Couldn't hold on to that, really didn't have the pace of the Red Bull, even with a hole in the side that he caused. But yeah, finished P4, secured P4 ahead of Carlos Sainz. A thought on the Mike Elliott James Allison swap. James Allison rather amusingly describing himself as a hype man to hype everybody up in the factory and get them going. And it's the benefit of having a sort of different hand on the tiller, really. This is no comment on Mike Elliott, really, but just having somebody like James Allison, in that day-to-day technical director role was something that both Mike Elliott and James Allison and Toto Wolff felt that they missed, and now they've got James Allison back in that position. James Allison, by the way, did miss. It's not that he was totally happy in the Chief Technical Officer role and needed persuading too hard to go back to the day-to-day grind of being a technical director. He missed. Careful, JD. Sorry about him. Did he actually hit?
That's fine.
All right, sorry about that. Just be a bit more careful. Be a bit more careful. Okay. He kind of missed it, James Allison, and he was quite happy to go back to the grind. Don't think he took much persuading. So that was the interesting thing about that. And a nice story, I said I'd tell you about this. Check our social channels for this, for Lewis Hamilton talking about his surprise incognito trip to Donington Park to the British Touring Car Championship. It's all right, sir, come through. To the British Touring Car Championship at Donington. Where is Lewis there? Can you see him? Where he was there to see his brother Nick, who is doing incredible things, has been doing incredible things, redefining what disabled drivers can do in motorsport. Nick, of course, has cerebral palsy, and actually is able to do. And Nick had his best finish ever in BTCC P6. And Lewis went there. It was a surprise to Nick. Didn't know that it was something that didn't tell Nick that Nick didn't know that Lewis was there. Lewis wore a little sort of balaclava face warmer and pulled his hood over and said that he was only noticed in the paddock briefly by some kids. And all the adults didn't notice him. They just thought it was a guy going around in a big hoodie jacket. But some kids noticed the eyes. I would have thought that the bright red shoes that in the sort of style of Lewis Hamilton might have been a bit of a pointer. But I thought it was cute the way, and then it was a lovely surprise when Nick found out that Lewis had been there watching him and supporting him. Yeah, I thought it was quite funny that it was the kids who recognised Lewis, but nobody else did. Right, okay, let's take a break here because we've done 16 minutes or so. More Notebook once we've stopped clunking into people in a little bit. Oh, I've lost my headphones. Let's take a break, shall we? Hiya, welcome back to the Sprint Notebook from the Sprint race after the Sprint race for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which is tomorrow. I got that right? Someone give Otmar a nice cup of tea because he is in charge of a team who have been up against it with fires and crashes and everything and all sorts. And the shame of it, Otmar, the shame of it is that you had such a good upgrade package. The shame of it is that you had such a good upgrade package and you haven't been able to show what a great upgrade package it is. Maybe tomorrow, eh?
Hopefully tomorrow.
Okay. Everything all right with spares and all right? Everyone chilled out now?
Yeah, all good here. We still have a race tomorrow. Hopefully if we stay like we are, we'll be prepared for Miami, but the floor wasn't damaged, which is good news, and it looks like it's working. It's just we haven't had the opportunity to show it yet, but let's see what tomorrow brings. It's a longer race and more opportunities.
Okay, go and get that cup of cha. All right. All right. I mean, the whole team has just been, what else can go wrong? Esteban Ocon has to start from the pit lane, not only today, because they've changed the setup, and tomorrow. So Ocon's got absolutely, well, no, I won't say no chance because anything's possible around here, but started from the pit lane today and finished 18th. Started on the soft, started on the medium, went onto the soft. That tyre went south, and then he had to make another pit stop, put the soft tyres on again, and it was more to the point looking at Pierre Gasly, who actually made up quite a good few positions today. Qualified P19 in Qantas in Singapore Airlines flight 3 to in SQ. Qualified 19th in SQ1. To get up to in P19 and then got up to P13. It was bouncing everywhere, said Pierre Gasly. But yeah, Ocon from the pit lane tomorrow. And yeah, as I said, Drive to Survive they are embedded with Alpine this weekend. So that is going to make a very interesting episode when it comes out in February next year. There's Pat Fry. Does he look like he needs a strong cup of tea as well? Maybe, maybe not. Got to tell you, the Alpine young development driver Abby Pulling is competing in the first F1 Academy series. It's the Red Bull Ring in Zeltweg this weekend, and you can see the highlights of that right here on Sky F1 on Thursday to see how Abby Pulling does, and Chloe Grant and the other British drivers there. Who's the other British driver there? And Megan Gilks and Nerea Marti and all the other drivers, Bia Bustamante and all the some of the female drivers you may have known about and want to follow their chances. You can see what Jamie Chadwick does in the Indy Next race as well on Sky F1. Right, let's do McLaren. Lando Norris 17th, had qualified 10th, and Oscar Piastri had qualified 11th and finished 10th. So it went really south for Lando because he started on the soft tyre. And that was not the right thing to do, was it? But McLaren didn't know that at the time. They thought they might get a red flag. Almost did with the incident early on. But it meant that there wasn't. And had they had a red flag, had they started on the soft tyre, made up a couple of places off the grid, and then stopped and gone onto the medium tyre, that would have been quite a nice strategy. But it wasn't. There was only a virtual safety car and then a safety car. And then that meant that Lando's tyres went completely soft and melted, and the tyres dropped like a stone. He went down to P12, then he pitted, had a bit of a slow stop, dropped down to P17. But let's put on the better side of it that Oscar Piastri ran P10 and couldn't get Alex Albon just about by a second. So a few seconds off a point was Oscar Piastri, but P10 is not so bad in the sprint race, but it's not what McLaren wanted today. Alfa Romeo Sauber, Valtteri Bottas 16th, was also a soft tyre starter, and like Lando had his tyres melt away and drop down the order, so that was a bad tyre choice from Alfa Romeo Sauber. Zhou Guanyu ran P12, starting on the medium tyre, which is the right choice today, held off Pierre Gasly, raced Hulkenberg, got past as Hulkenberg dropped down himself. Here we are, here is Zhou Guanyu, JD, if you're anywhere near. There you are. Zhou P12 actually, so having qualified P16, P12 is not so bad. Held P12 to the line. Valtteri Bottas, I get the feeling, is not as happy as Zhou Guanyu, so because he did not have a good day today. You had the right tyres and Valtteri had the wrong tyres, eh?
Yeah, it's weird to do. Maybe I hold it. So.
Depends how long the lead is.
But yeah, I was quite a good race. Had quite a bit of fun. But obviously it was good thing for the team, I guess, to do mediums and soft, just to learn for tomorrow. I think nothing to lose here today. So.
Well, we know the soft's no good.
No, both guys. I think Valtteri and Norris, they really struggled, and it's clear, I think, for everyone in the field. And hopefully, today felt good, better with the car. So it's very important. Thank you.
Joe, thank you very much. See you soon. Good luck tomorrow. Aston Martin and Fernando Alonso was on brilliant fighting form today. He got... I'm in trouble. He got P6 today from Q8 on the grid, and a mega start for Fernando Alonso up to P7, past Alex Albon, whereas Lance Stroll had a bad start, dropped down to P10, but Lance Stroll eventually got past Alex Albon, chased Lewis Hamilton, finished 1.9 seconds behind Lewis. Fernando got past Lewis on the restart and up to P6, chased Carlos Sainz ahead and finished only 1.2 seconds behind the Ferrari. And we believe that Aston's DRS problem was fixed, which is good for them. Any sign of the drivers or Lawrence or anybody? No. So we'll move on to Haas F1. There is Gunther going in, and he's not massively happy, I guess, because Kevin Magnussen was okay, close to the points, which would have been for tomorrow's race down to 10th, because Kevin Magnussen was 11th today. There is pace in that Haas, but not with Hulkenberg. Hulk's medium tyres went off dramatically, grained up, and he lost a lot of time. But Magnussen went well. He finished P11 in a rather lonely race behind Oscar Piastri and ahead of Zhou Guanyu. Hulkenberg, having qualified 14th, made it up to, having qualified 12th, made it up to 10th and then dropped down to P15 with the graining tyres, did Nico Hulkenberg. So bad luck, better luck tomorrow. I think they'll be using the hard tyres for most of the race, seeing as Hulkenberg didn't get on with the mediums today at all. And if we've done Williams, then that means that the only race team we have to do left is AlphaTauri. So Nick de Vries qualified 20th, but made his way steadily up to 14th, and no dramas for him. All the dramas came for Yuki Tsunoda, who was a DNF, qualified 18th, but then absolutely gutted. He dropped drifted right into the wall and damaged his right rear, got an unsafe condition release, for which I think they're going to get a penalty if they haven't done already. They definitely are. And then it was eventually had to retire. Nick de Vries made his way up the order, past nailing Hulkenberg, and back to a comforting, reassuring P14. I'll just give you one last line on Franz Tost, who is the characterful principal Austrian boss here at AlphaTauri, and this will be his last season as team principal at AlphaTauri before, as I said earlier, Laurent Mekies takes over from him. We asked, is this a consequence of after the passing of Dietrich Mateschitz? Was it something as the new management decided that there was time for a change at AlphaTauri? Oliver Mintzlaff, the new executive in charge. Franz said no, not at all. This has been in the plumbing for 2 years, that I agreed with Dietrich Mateschitz even before he passed away that I wouldn't stay on at AlphaTauri team principal beyond the end of this year, and to allow more young people. There he is. There's Franz. He's enjoying his race. And Franz is such a great character. I'll be sad. I've already spoken to him today, so I'm not going to engage him again, but he's staying on as a consultant, which is great. So it'll be good to have his wisdom still around, which is good to see. Right, that is it. Join us for the race tomorrow. We are on air at 10:30 for a midday lights out. So we've had a little taster, haven't we? We've had 2 starters and a sort of main course, so a small main course. And now we're not satisfied with that main course, and we've ordered another main course, a massive main course, to have on Sunday, and then we'll have a big sleep afterwards in front of the Grand Prix. No, not in front of the Grand Prix. Watch us before your Sunday lunch, and ignore my Sunday lunch metaphors, because we're ready for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which is lights out and midday. For me and all the team and the hotels and everybody around here, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Sky Sports F1. Feel it all.